As we began our project on the Community Culture Center of the Wuli Epoch Residential Complex, we tried to define the spirit of living in modern Beijing through interpreting the historic syntax of Southern Three Places. A continuing path moved gradually from exterior to interior in a circumferential way. It hovers up from the ground to the second floor, then turns to the third floor banquet hall before exiting the exterior roofscape. It continues folding up and down on the roof and then moves gradually along another path down to the ground of the fourth court where the path begins. Space expands and contrasts along the path, echoing the spatial rhythm on the central axis of the Forbidden City. The shifting landscape changes scale as the space changes along the path. The triangulated courtyard are defined open-endedly by walls of 3 levels. The first wall is grounded and rises gradually from floor to roof. The second wall is suspended in the air and pivots to the north from the first wall. The third wall picks up where the second wall ends, suspend and expand in new direction. The fourth, fifth, and sixth wall continue pivoting, rising and falling, dancing to the spatial choreography embedded in the valley of the West Hill. First nature and second nature are juxtaposed and joined simultaneously. Recycled concrete blocks are cut into thin pieces and put together to form curving nature surfaces. The hills and waterfalls, created by thin masonry and lighting, shows the solidification and abstraction of nature. The contrast between mortal and immortal nature gives people space to think critically about nature. As walls are either open or suspended, and spaces are penetrable, a single architecture element is able to define various courtyards simultaneously. Courtyards no longer have definitive boundaries. Rather, there are multiple definitions of layering spaces. The interior space depicts nature in a digital fashion. The signature image of autumn foliage in Western Hill is depicted by the field of glittering wooden panels laminating with aluminum. The array of ceiling panels change color from warm yellow to white, suggesting the transition from the entrance to the skating ring. An inverted western hill is created by the various curving arrays of ceiling panels. Layers of courtyards in the Forbidden City establish an imperial hierarchy on the central axis of Beijing. The southern 3 places stand out as a semi-autonomous structure within the imperial order. The southern 3 places represent the segment of family structures of royal descendants. There's a certain democracy in their composite joining, which are parallel to modern multiple-unit joining. The courtyard complex is constructed with a forecourt and a series of gridded small courts behind it. This courtyard system is transferred and recontextualized on the Wuli Epoch project site. There is a diagram embedded in the gridded system of the southern 3 places, as the site for the Wuli Epoch Culture Center is a triangulated site. We have transferred the diagram within the historic project and contextualized it on an irregular site. The architectural elements that define a courtyard are stylobate, pavement, facade, division wall, and screening wall, among which the long linear division wall strikes us as the most intriguing and most architecturally significant. Inspired by the visual adjustment mechanism from the Acropolis, we have pushed down the middle of the linear wall as if the linearity were being visually distorted by light. The wall becomes simultaneously a boundary and a threshold, partially closed and partially open. Below the walled Forbidden City, there is the undercurrent of the Jinshui River. Its very existence suggests the subterranean will to be free that is latent in the besieged city. Our project is built upon the paradox of the wall. The flow latent in walls bends all walls and allows free passages in between. We have constructed a new typology for the courtyard with the curved walls recreated. We have walls crisscross one another in multiple levels, creating a syntax of irregular courtyards that are vary in size, scale, and sectional relations. Spatial definition encompasses horizontal suspension, ground demarcation, and threshold between the tangible and the intangible. Leo Baptista Alberti once wrote that the city is like some large house and the house like some small city. The hearth was the locus in the primitive heart, and the rite of life moved around the hearth. The circumferential path is followed in ritual and religious practice. From a house to a city, people repeat the circumferential path in a church, mosque, a group of Chinese civic structures, which are each the heart of the city. Our design brings back the circumferential path to create a spatial dialogue with the encompassing landscape, which is the heart as we define it in modern life. We try to define the spirit of living in modern Beijing through reinterpreting the historic syntax of the southern three places. The courtyard complex of the southern three places is constructed with a forecourt and a series of gridded small courts behind it. This courtyard system is transferred and recontextualized on the Woolley Epoch project site.
We have constructed a new typology for courtyard with the curved wall we created. We have walls crisscross one another in multiple levels, creating a rich syntax of irregular courtyards that are varied in size, scale, and sectional relations.
Spatial definition is no longer limited to enclosure, but instead encompasses horizontal suspension, ground demarcation, and the threshold between the tangible and the intangible. The composition logic for the new courtyard aligns with the cubist substructure. The mathematical model behind the courtyard moved from Cartesian to projective geometry.
Moreover, the definition of the courtyard is broadened, and the courtyards are able to expand from exterior to interior, or even something in between. The free dialogue among the architectural elements creates a new syntax for cubist courtyards. The sectional relationship of the courtyard is readdressed in a less missing way, but with a more fluid and dynamic interpretation.
The site for the project is a triangulated irregular lot embraced by the West Hill mountain chain. Our design brings back the circumferential path to create a spatial dialogue with the encompassing landscape, which is the heart as we define it in modern life.
Landscape is no longer perceived in static frames, but with a dynamic shifting relationship between the eyes and the vista. A continuing path moves gradually from exterior to interior in a circumferential way.
The circulation logic aligns with the philosophy of the space, representing and embodying the endless quest from the inner self to the outer landscape in an evolving incarnation that defines the truth of life. Below the worded Forbidden City, there's the undercurrent of the Jinshui River. Its very existence suggests the subterranean will to be free that is latent in the besieged city.
The paradox of the wall lies in the conflict between order and disorder, matter and nature, restriction and freedom. Our project is built upon the paradox of the wall. The flow flattened in walls, bend out walls and allow free passages in between. From exterior to interior, there's always a free flow in space, allowing the penetrations of the eyes and the mind that are beyond scale, directionality, and exclusivity.